If you wanted to,
Hello.
hello, we are here. We made it, and with a nifty groovy background. With a nifty groovy background, but that's neither here nor there. Greg did the background. If Greg sees this,
Mhm.
Greg, check it. My lines are good. I'm learning some eCam stuff. It's all in proportion. It's kind of neato mosquito. Anyway, we are today talking about failing.
AI and SEO. So, the trends keep on coming with what's going on for SEO, especially in proportions to having AI take on more and more of a role, supposedly getting better and better. And so we're just going to talk about where it's at and where we think we're going to be using it in 2024.
Okay, so have you yourself used Chat GPT and AI?
Uh, yeah, I've used ChatGPT. I haven't necessarily. I've been very wary about it for SEO, just because it gets a little easily predicted, and I don't want to get dinged for that. So I'm always a little paranoid about using it for all the, for actually writing everything. Giving ideas, I think, is good, but like necessarily writing everything is not. I get a little nervous about that.
Hello. We have a Facebook user that I'll get the comment on the screen. I think it could be Greg. Say who you are because although it looks really good today, we're still working out a couple kinks. And one of the kinks
It
is
is
seeing
Pam.
people on screen. Hi Pam. Hi. We are talking about AI and SEO,
Hmm.
but AI and just any social media, anything, right? Or like any media. I think it's having
Yeah,
quite the effect.
yeah, it's definitely getting more and more integrated. I think we'll do a deeper dive on it when we talk about our Google Ads, because we have one slated for the same time in February, talking about it, and so I think that it'll be much bigger then as well. It's
Mm.
definitely intruded in lots of places. I think the biggest one that why we wanted to talk about it with SEO is that we know that a lot of content writers are struggling with it, as like it's getting more and more dominant in like content writing space, and so that's really shaking things up there. So we also have like people who do the affiliate marketing, that kind of stuff, that those guys are also seeing a lot of challenges. Some of them are embracing the changes,
Oh.
some of them aren't.
See, we're
uh,
embracing the changes, I think. But I have talked to somebody and I asked them, they're a writer, and I asked them if they are using AI. And they said no. And I mean, I what I'm doing is using a writer and AI, and I think that'll make it better. Like, so you can get some solid points out. We have chickens in the backyard running around, just so you know they've escaped.
mhm.
Uh, it's not a farmhouse around here. But uh, it's funny, eh? Because when I use like Chat GPT, I sometimes think like, ooh, somebody's going to be out of a job, and even me, I could be out of a job one day, but you can't worry about that, right? um I think we're an embrace the technology kind of people. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming down the pipe, and so it's definitely one that we should embrace and recognize it for what it is. And it's not like some people are gonna
I
lose
think my
their
camera's
jobs.
washing me out. I feel washed out. I'm like, oh no. Happy
Um,
New Year! Oh, who else is joining us today? And so, what do you think of the AI and what's going on? Are you using it? Because I mean, I'm fascinated by trying it. You should see. We should play a game. If you're into doing images on Chat GPT, because and share the images we get created, because that's super. It is super fun. I mean, I'm working on a cyberpunk geek image. It's got trees and lightning now, and pink and blue, like the AI or the cyber kind of colors, cyber geek punk colors. So I was
yeah.
playing with it in there. So have you played? You haven't played with it with images at all.
No, I haven't done the images. I found them to be. It's in like sometimes it'll try to add text and it'll always spell the text wrong. It
I
somehow can't
spelled it.
write like basic words correctly.
Oh
So
no,
it's
you just have to ask them to write it in English. I think.
No, no, no. It misspelled like basic English words. It was not like but it's known for having like the images is supposed to be the one where it has the most like dementia, like digital dementia.
Mm. Ooh, let's talk about
And
that for a second. What is digital dementia?
basically, it's like as people use more SEO tools that use AI, that there's more of it out there. So then the AI systems then consume the AI content, and then that basically gives it like like it's a recursive loop. As it gets more, then it will feed more back into itself, and then it doesn't get any new inputs. It's only like basically eating itself, and so that causes like dementia. So it'll start repeating itself. It'll it also is like confidently says the wrong things a lot of the times. So
Yes.
it'll make up like it's like find me a book by this author about this topic, and it'll just make one up and say it's like, oh yeah, that's this book.
Yeah, I think fact checking. I mean, and there are, I think that's where things are going to get funny. And there's huge lawsuits right now, right? There's I know there's one all about ownership,
New York,
right?
it's
Copyright.
New York Times is the big one right now because they have the deep coffers to actually go and sue
Mm,
OpenAI. Uh, and so it's definitely one where there's a lot of that's the biggest one that like Sam Altman's acknowledged, the guy who runs OpenAI that it does ChatGPT. They've said
yeah.
he kind of pled the fifth when they asked him how many copyright violations they had, and
Really?
yeah, he just wouldn't directly answer the question, just mostly because they know they're dead to rights. That they just took everyone's copywritten information and then
Mm,
basically run it through a little like an algorithm and then have it spit out, and then they could be like, well, we who knows how much of it was yours and how much of it
mm.
was like someone else's artwork that we copied. Um,
And how are they going to
so
figure
that'll
that
be
out? So, I mean, will we lose the ability? It's very interesting, and it is like a 4-year-old, right?
hmm
Well, that's pretty funny. I mean, I love it. Then you walk away and you're like, okay, it's been really helpful. It's been a disaster too. I will say that, for SEO purposes, I think, like, who do you think is going to be more affected, SEO or Google Ads? That's a really good question. By AI, because I don't think AI is the. I think it's the automations, right? I think there's a
mm.
bit of difference there. I think that do it using the automations to help you become better or faster, is better than using the AI to actually like do the things. You know what I mean? I
Well,
don't know if
if you look at it as if you look at it as more like an extension of yourself, I think that's a better way of using these tools. I think that they're also going to be um like I've said before, they're good for a first draft, but they're not like a fully complete. I think that the people that could embrace it and do well out of it are people who are doing those long form content. Like you can generate more of them and then move over to like because really like making a first draft is kind of boring in a lot of ways because like you'll have like the analysis paralysis, how do I start, but if you have like your research and everything and like the talking points you want to have
mm,
and you know your opinion that you want to have in the piece, if you get AI to generate a first draft for you of a long form piece of content, that I don't think that's going to be the worst thing in the world.
mm. I think it's really fun actually to go down that rabbit hole. Like I did get AI to write me a story where SEO was, because our theme is, with teaching SEO and Google Ads, it's we're in a lab because of Know How Marketing Lab,
Mhm.
right? We're in a lab. So I was like, what is an SEO person in the lab? And they're like, they're the lab assistant. And they were like, they did all the reasons why, right? And it was I don't know. I find, and like, you can spend a long time and get some really good information, but I think it's part of the research. I don't think it's the end product. I think you're right about that. Right.
Yeah,
So,
and also, I don't think that the AI is still really good at doing like an analysis of like user intent and stuff like that. Like it can run through huge computations, but it's not going to like say, "Hey, we noticed this weird thing that might be relevant to your business." Like it'll just
mm,
notice patterns. It doesn't really know like what those
but
patterns mean
yeah.
in relation to the business,
Mm,
which is always going to be the part where. it's like the old Pablo Picasso quote about computers are useless; they can only give you answers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
that's a
and
good
so it's
quote.
that mentality. Pardon?
That's a good quote. That's a good quote. Sorry, I was just like off thinking. It is. I mean, it's fascinating how we're using the AI, and it's important to be careful, right? Because you
Yeah.
only do get answers. I mean, I have, have I messed up some of the work I've done? Yes, yes, I have. Did I learn quickly? Yes, yes, I did. I think it's go slow, especially so with systems, Google Ads, Google Analytics, Tag Manager. I think if you're trying any automations there, be cautious. But like, I mean,
Mhm.
automations for creating socials kind of been fun. I know people are using it for that. Is anybody here using it to help create hashtags or social images or social content? Because we've used it for Google Business Profile, not for
Yeah.
content, but not for like for product content or services, not for posts, right?
Yeah, because the other one that kind of comes to mind on that is apparently the Adobe Photoshop AI tool is apparently quite impressive.
Ooh, I
Where
haven't tried
basically
that.
what it does is you give an image, and then say you need to like infill a section, you could just kind of like tell it like based on what you see in the rest of this image, fill in this square, and it will apparently do a pretty decent job.
Mm. Well, I know
Which
AI is in so many things now. Oh, sorry. Go on. Which is what? What?
Oh, well, that's another group that might also get affected is like graphic designers, because apparently a lot of like Photoshop jobs are doing the uh do use was actually doing those infills, and so if there's an AI tool that's going to also eat into their lunch as well, so
Yeah. Uh, Social ad copy and LinkedIn event post copy. Interesting. Haven't had any luck with images for ads. No, I to be honest, images for ads be harder to do. I think I've done copy for meta descriptions and titles. I haven't tried them to get to do a URL, but it takes like a good 3 to 4 goes. But you can do things like write a meta description, right? And say has to be this length, and capitalize what is its title case, every letter, right? Things like that. And then maybe a CTA at the end. Use the keyword, like you tell them exactly, use this keyword at the very front, right? So everything you would do.
yeah.
Um, Interesting. Right. So let me see if I can just
Well, and that's
move.
Jody as well.
Hello, Jody. Especially for personal brand. Interesting. I think using a combination of the people, like brand images, eh? Especially for personal brand images. Ooh, we have to learn more about what you're doing. And you loved it for
Yeah.
LinkedIn articles. Are you getting it to write LinkedIn articles? That is quite interesting. I was on LinkedIn. I've told my story. I don't know who's ever out there if you know, but when LinkedIn came around, I never had to look for a job again. I got headhunted. It was great, only because of my profession, which was advertising sales rep, because like it was a small niche. Why, Phelan, you grinned there? Why did you grin? I saw that. I saw that.
Oh, it was funny that it's like the like oh, you used to get headhunted and everything. It's uh
But I
yeah.
loved I
Oh,
loved it. That's why I loved it. So then you leave LinkedIn, especially if you start your own business, you're busy, right? But LinkedIn I think is a great place to go, right? I think it's an untapped resource. Means marketers are going to
yeah.
ruin it.
I
I'm a
think that it's
marketer.
been yeah. Well, marketers and recruiters, right? That was a big one. It's good when you need it, and then it's also can be a bit of an issue when you like uh when you're just trying to connect with people, and then you have a lot of recruiters going, "Hello, I see that
Mhm.
you have," and then they just like list off everything that's in your profile, and it's like, would you be looking for a job?
Oh, look, it moves it there. Yeah, see, it is funny, right? So I do think it's the people that will do well with all this are the people that utilize it to their advantage in a way where there's not negative effects. We know that with like SEO and stuff that things come out like link farm, super good idea at the time, and then everybody just gets smacked down, but that's on search. I don't think everybody's on search engine because LinkedIn is a closed network, Facebook's a closed network, TikTok's a closed network. Like you don't see people's posts on the search engine results pages generally, right? Depending. Sometimes Twitter, they used to do that because Facebook and Twitter had a great relationship. But you don't see that. So I don't think it's a bad idea to use it in some circumstances. What do you think, Phelan?
I think it's good as long as you recognize it for what it is, and I think that it'll be one that is also going to be is makes it more scalable to do a bunch of first drafts as well. So like you
Mm,
can like I know people have built Chat GPT for like Google Sheets, and so you could have like 100 meta descriptions you need a first draft of, and
mm,
then that's a way you can generate like 100 like this page with this keyword, write me a page title meta description.
mm,
And it can do it at scale through an API, and so it's definitely one that I think is going to be useful. The other one that I think is going to be a bit of an untapped uh, resource that I know some people are using is Zapier with ChatGPT,
mm.
because you can automatically feed data from one data point into ChatGPT, tell it with a prompt based on what that data source is, and then get it to spit out some result into like a sheet or
Mm.
something. So it's like summarize this meeting, something like that.
Ah, yeah, yeah. I've tried that with ChatGPT, and it can do a good job. It does miss the nuance. It does. It does
Yeah,
sometimes, right? Like I like I like taking I'll try to take a script and put it in ChatGPT and be like, write a summary. However, if the script is like longer than 15 minutes, it breaks. But that was about 2 weeks ago, so I haven't been back to try that. I will. I've been really having fun with the images. I think it's a great toy right now. I think there's no rules that are firmly in place. So I think people can have a lot of fun. It's like a little bit like the Wild West, right?
yeah.
Like,
I think that it is a new area. I think it'll have some hard limitations that it will come up against because
mm,
just
mm.
the nature of what it is. I don't think it's going to like take over everything just because it does require so many people to make it work and so much server space to make it work. Because like when the $10 billion was given over from Microsoft to ChatGPT, apparently an overwhelming majority of it was just Azure computational credits.
And what does that mean?
It's like Amazon Web Services. Microsoft has their own version. It's called Azure, and so they
Oh, I
basically
did
gave
not.
them like
Oh, okay. I've heard of Azure, but I didn't. I thought it was like soft, like Word.
no, it's like cloud computing. So it's like,
Okay,
hey, run my server, and then you just set it up on Azure or Microsoft Azure Cloud, Google Cloud Platform, and then Amazon Web Services. Those are the big three,
okay.
and so and it's just cloud computing, and so but it takes a lot to run ChatGPT, and so they gave them like $9 billion in credits. Don't quote me on the number because it's not public, so I don't know exactly what it is,
How
but
did you
I
learn
know
this? How's it? It's not public, but it's public.
it like the details aren't public, but like people have leaked, right?
Mm.
Because Silicon Valley likes to gossip to the press, and so they apparently were telling them that it wasn't all cash; it was like a bunch of credits. Um,
So technically, we could look at this is funny. We could look at Silicon Valley like the little kingdom over there, with because it's kind of like there's lots of gossip. It's the hustle and bustle of like you know, like the kingdom that will
like
fall one day.
Versailles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. It's
Uh,
interesting. It's interesting to look at what AI is doing, who it's going to change, who it's going to affect, right? Um, it is like our brains on speed a little bit, moving fast, doing cool things, and breaking stuff. So I guess the outcome is go
yeah.
slow, go slow.
Well, and one that I'm looking forward to. I'm jealous of all the American watchers of this, but using Bard or Duet, especially so the Google versions. I'm really excited
Mm.
for using Duet in workspaces, so that you can use it to be like, hey, find me.
What do you mean
Where
in
did I like?
workspaces? So like in
In,
my drive? That would
Yeah,
be
in
part of
your
my
Google
workspace.
Drive, you would
Ooh.
have a spot that's for duet, and then you'd
Hmm.
like that's the way they advertise it in the marketing is that you'd be able to like ask it a question like find me this Google Doc where I mention blah blah blah, and it'll go and find those for you.
Um, I think that's really interesting. We were seeing a lot of automations happening in Google Docs, in Google Sheets this week, which is
Yeah.
kind of, like the divide between Google and Apple, kind of Amazon. Those are the three I see. But Amazon doesn't have like Google Sheets and Docs, but I think they will one day. Haha. Right? 'Cause I think
Well,
that's
they
a
they
yeah.
they don't have automation like they're not looking to automate the like your work productivity. That's not what they're looking to automate. Their AIs are people in like their homes, people at workspaces, like the
Mm,
physical space, because what they're doing is like monitoring work uh, warehouses. That's what they're like super interested in AI, like noting
yeah.
patterns and doing that stuff.
So
And so that
maybe we'll have nurses and doctors that are robots too, or elderly companions, right? Because
yeah.
it's not necessarily like what Chat GPT can do and write. I think it's more about what the automations can do for you as a person. Like for us, we've started using like a Stream Deck, which so now with a click of a button, I can open up all my meeting stuff for my client, right?
Mhm.
Where before it would take me about 15 minutes to get ready. So, I mean, is it time saving? Yes. So, and yeah, and you can automate these weird things like in Google Sheets, you can open the app script and use Chat GPT to write you some script to do something in your spreadsheet. That's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll see where that goes, right? And that's part of SEO in essence because you do use a lot of sheets. So you could download some data from analytics and get ChatGPT to interpret it. That might be interesting
Yeah.
to try. I wouldn't trust
Yeah.
it all the time, but
No, it does have like there's some capabilities, especially on the paid tier, that to do some more like actual data analysis, where you give it a big spreadsheet and say like, find me the the patterns of change in this big sheet of data, and
ooh,
it does do that. So like whether you're looking at like a search console, you could look at that, like throw in
mm.
like your data for the last 3 months, and say, hey, which keyword am I did I increase the most for, and which one should I be looking at as one that's close to, I don't know, like page one.
You could write something that says, find the keywords that have the most potential when it comes to increasing the number of visitors to my website if I rank in the top three position for a keyword that I am showing up for on, I don't know, a page. So I don't know. You could have a
Yeah.
lot of fun with that. Oh, I think that's what I'm gonna do today. Um, that gets pretty deep. Oh, wait, we first draft, no finals, and we have I'm loving what's it? Uh,
Green.
grain for meeting summaries. Ooh, what's that with timestamps? Oh, yes, the timestamps are helpful. Yeah, I don't know what
Hmm.
grain is. So, do you? Ooh, we're gonna go look that up
No, I
now.
haven't heard of it.
See, marketing is a group effort. Phelan, we are out of time. We were 5 minutes late, but we can't stay on 5 minutes longer. We're coming back next week, you and I. And what are we talking about? Dun dun
Actually, it's going
dun.
to be you and Greg are next week talking about DIY, when you shouldn't, when you shouldn't.
Oh, that's gonna be good. I think there's gonna be some gloves on for that one because Greg never thinks you should. Anyways, we'll see you
Well,
next week. Yeah. Oh, say what?
no, no, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay. We will see you next week. If you are joining us in Facebook, we also have a YouTube channel. If you're joining us on YouTube, we have a Facebook group. Come join us there too. And we will see you next week for our chat Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific. Okay. Bye.
Bye.